that they fear that this will spoil the landscape. If there is a spill, that it could contaminate groundwater, hurt humans and animals.
Last week, the Keystone Pipeline sprung a leak in Kansas the size of an Olympic swimming pool.
As activists and indigenous communities have predicted, the Keystone Pipeline leaked again, marking the 23rd time that this pipeline has leaked in just 12 years. This leak happening in Kansas. So in this video, I will go over a bit of the history of Keystone Pipeline leaks, some comments from experts, a couple of insane media takes, with the first one coming up shortly, and a reaction from a farmer directly impacted by this recent leak in Kansas. So first of all here, let's take another look, another shot at that leak, this one in Kansas here. Here's another image. It's almost like someone held up a picture and stuck like a lighter to it. It is wild that this keeps happening and that these companies and their allies keep pushing pipelines as this sort of brilliant answer to the energy problem. But in terms of this leak here, so with its leak of nearly 600,000 gallons in northern Kansas, the sprawling Keystone Pipeline system has now spilled more crude oil in the U.S. than any other pipeline, according to a new analysis by Bloomberg, including last week's spillage of roughly 14,000 barrels of crude, a threat to the environment, drinking water, and public health. The pipeline system that runs from Alberta, Canada to Texas has leaked 26,000 barrels of toxic substance in the U.S. over the past 12 years. The Bloomberg noted on Monday, citing preliminary data from the Pipeline and Hazardous Material Safety Administration. So, good thing though, we have ABC News on the case. Here is how they introed one of their stories on this leak.
The biggest oil spill in the history of the Keystone Pipeline, more than 500,000 gallons spilling into a Kansas creek. And Alex Perez is there in Kansas. Alex, good morning. The big question right now, what is this going to mean for gas prices?
Yeah. The big question right now for ABC News, what does this mean for gas prices? Not the environmental impact, not the climate crisis, not maybe looking at the ongoing disaster of pipelines just generally, but no, gas prices. It really shows you just how even a story that is clearly around the climate crisis, how they have to skew the framing around it to make it about something else. But that's mainstream press for you. I will say, though, this leak has been widely covered, not always as terribly as that intro was. So it's good to see that this is getting coverage. But the real, measure of success here from the press is the actual impact this story and multiple ongoing leaks, the reporting of that will potentially have on pipelines going forward. It's good to have these things in the forefront of people's minds so that the next time there's a discussion around a pipeline, this stuff can be easily referenced. But let's go over some of the history here. The bigger leaks from the Keystone Pipeline. So as this is back in 2019, as Indigenous activists predicted, the Keystone Pipeline has another big spill. So just worth mentioning again that this isn't like surprising out of the blue. This stuff has been predicted by people that know anything about anything. Leaks are bound to happen from these pipelines, and they've happened continually, yet still these companies have managed to build them, even with the knowledge that they will absolutely leak and impact wildlife, land, people surrounding it. So in terms of that leak from 2019, that was 383,000 gallons of oil, and that was the second biggest spill in 2 years. So this spill actually ended up being 10 times worse than it was initially thought. And back in 2017, the Keystone Pipeline leaked 210,000 gallons of oil, and that was double the previous estimate. So each time there's a leak, the energy company comes out, in this case, TC Energy comes out and says, well, this is how big we think the leak is. And it turns out they do that on purpose, immediately to try and tamp down on how big the leak actually is, only to find out later on that it was much larger than they initially said it was. again, as a way to try and frame media narratives to be not as bad as as the reality actually showcases. Now, in terms of this leak, or the history of leaks here, so according to the Sierra Club, the Keystone 1 pipeline that leaked in northern Kansas has leaked 22 times. This is the 23rd time in its history, including a dozen spills during its first year of operation in 2010. The Government Accountability Office warned in a report last year that the severity of Keystone's spills has worsened in recent years due to two large spills in 2017 and 2019, the ones I just showed you. Quote, the latest spill is another tragic reminder of the cost of our reliance on fossil fuels. Matt Casale, director of the U.S. Public Interest Research Group, Education Funds, Environment Campaigns, said in a statement late Monday, quote, at every stage from extraction to transportation to burning, fossil fuel puts our environment and health at risk. Not only are they the driving force behind climate change, but when the pipelines spill, and they always spill, the damage is severe. The path to a clean and healthy future is clear, and it doesn't travel in an oil pipeline. So we have known this forever. Yet we keep, I say we in terms of politicians keep listening to power and money, being the fossil fuel industry, over what experts have been telling them for decades. Now, just again, here on in terms of how this is predicted, the Indigenous Environmental Network, an environmental justice nonprofit group, respond to the spill with concern. This is from the 2019 spill, so not even the most recent one. Quote, this is exactly the kind of spill we are worried about when it comes to Keystone XL being built. It has never been if a pipeline breaks, but rather when, said Joyce Braun, Indigenous Environmental Network frontline community organizer. So those comments were about Keystone XL, which eventually, yes, was canceled by Joe Biden. One of the better things he has done during his administration. So he nixed the XL pipeline. This is where we get to a hilarious piece here from Forbes. So this is from this year. Why Biden's killing of Keystone XL was an energy security blunder. So here is a hit piece trying to claim that killing Keystone XL was a bad idea. All you have to do when you see a piece like this, any piece that is pro-pipeline, pro-oil, look at who wrote it. So in this case, David Blackman, a Texas-based public policy analyst consultant. Interesting. Let's scroll down a bit. Texas, eh? I wonder what happens in Texas. So David Blackman here is an energy-related public policy analyst, okay, from Texas, yes, with a 40-year career in the oil and gas industry. This tells you everything you need to know. So he served as the Texas state lead for America's Natural Gas Alliance. This man has a vested interest in the fossil fuel industry. He benefits when that industry expands, does well. He personally benefits. Yet, Forbes printing this out, publishing this piece as if this is some, expert on this issue. He's an expert in the sense that he is expertly wants to make a lot of money for himself. But in terms of what is actually good for society, nobody should be publishing this garbage. Now, on Biden and his success killing Keystone XL, it doesn't give you the whole story in terms of what Biden can keep doing here. So Biden won applause last year for killing a proposed expansion of the Keystone Pipeline, known as Keystone XL. But the administration has gone to bat for other major fossil fuel projects in court, including the Line 3 tar sands pipeline. Biden has also resisted calls to issue an executive order shutting down existing oil pipelines and other dangerous fossil fuel infrastructure, even as planet-warming greenhouse gas emissions continue to surge. A September analysis by the Global Energy Monitor estimated that overall, around 1,700 miles of oil pipeline capacity have been proposed or are already under construction in the U.S., more than any other country. So while Joe Biden canceling the Keystone XL pipeline was a good move by him, there is a lot more that could be done. Now, let me play for you these comments, which, to give them credit, also ABC News, so they could do some shitty framing and they could do some good reporting. So here is this is Chris Panbacker. She is a farmer that is, her land was impacted by this oil spill.
Our pasture grass is black, about the size of a football field, and we know that oil spattered about another 100 to 200 miles, or 200 yards, above that hill. So we have a lot to learn. The main focus right now is to get it off. Then we need to talk about reclamation and restoration. And we have a lot to learn about how oil impacts native prairie grass. This hill is a very special place. It's been the site of a lot of picnics, a lot of hayrack rides. Our kids grew up on that hill. Bill and his sisters grew up on that hill. On the 4th of July, you can be up on the hill and see fireworks from at least 3 or 4 different towns. It's a beautiful spot and very pristine. It's the prairie. We own cattle and enjoy checking our cows and calves. And it's just hard to see something that beautiful look like it does right now.
The next time you see a politician, be it a Democrat, a Republican, or in Canada, a conservative or a liberal, the next time you see a politician pretend to care about farmers or those in rural communities, think about this story. Because those same people pushed through this pipeline and continue trying to push through new pipeline projects, knowing that they are going to leak, because they always leak. Every single pipeline, every single oil pipeline that has ever been created has leaked, and largely leaked onto land owned by farmers or people in rural communities or indigenous communities. This is an ongoing problem. And those same people pushing those pipelines do not care at all when this happens, because if they did, they would stop and maybe assess what they are doing. But this is going to keep happening. So as long as these pipelines exist, there's going to be another leak. This is going to happen again. Wait for it. It's going to happen. But I don't know. I don't know what to say here, because we have solutions. We have other energy sources. We have the ability to move to renewable energy, and we just aren't doing it.